right after the game yesterday.
All right, here with the voice of the Kings, the G-Man, Gary Gerould. G-Man, you've now seen the Kings play 2 summer league games here in Vegas. Just an overview of what you've seen from Sacramento.
I like the effort that are seeing, and I like the execution at various times. It's typical summer league, of course, but really impressed with Keegan Murray and what he brings to the floor. I've been so impressed with not only his skills, but his temperament and the fact that he just, like the second game with the victory over Indiana, I thought was a perfect example. It looked like the Kings were on the ropes. They didn't have Keita in the middle in the second half because of a calf injury. They're down 6, and the game's slipping away from them. And then Ferrari and Keegan kind of get together, and they carry the team in the last 4 minutes, and it was just such a difference. And I've really been impressed at his consistency of play and the fact that he seems to be unruffled. And I think, Jason, the thing that I like the most is he looks like he belongs. And I'm anxious to see what it's going to be like when he plays with top-tier type players, when he's alongside a Sabonis and a Fox and a Davion Mitchell, et cetera.
Yeah, does it feel like to you, G-Man, that Monty's kind of developing a type of player that he likes, whether that's Halliburton and Mitchell and now Keegan, guys that are experienced, that are pretty good people, a chip on their shoulder, but a healthy chip, and just looks like they all get how to play basketball.
Well, I think you're absolutely spot on, and that's one of the things that's so encouraging. And you talk to different people, be it a Mark Jones or a Katie Christensen on the broadcast side. You talk with members of the coaching staff, a Doug Christie, a Bobby Jackson, some of the new coaches. You talk with Alvin Gentry, who of course is a previous interim head coach of the Kings, and there seems to be this universal feel that there's legitimate optimism. And the shooting acquisition, when you throw in a Malik Monk and when you bring in Herter from Atlanta, these guys are legitimate deep perimeter threats that I think is going to help space the floor. And every word that I've heard from Mike Brown has been right on target as far as I'm concerned. And I know talk is cheap, and it's summer and it's summer league, etc. But when you're talking about accountability, as he does, when you talk about the need to have a soul within the organization, not only the team, but all the various departments, I think it's absolutely what Sacramento needs. And I was talking with Mark Jones yesterday about the fact that he was almost giddy, kind of optimistic about what he's seeing. And we were kind of commiserating and saying, but you have to be careful. You can't be too giddy in public because they look scornfully, well, this team hasn't made the playoffs in 16 years, and all the things that we know, and all of the areas where the teams need so much help. But I think there's this sense that something special is starting to fall into place. Now, I caution that because in the Western Conference, as we all know, the Lakers aren't going to struggle the way they struggled last year. The Clippers are going to be so much better. You look at what's going on in Minnesota, and you go right through all the different teams in the West. It's not going to be easy. That's for sure. But it's encouraging, and I think legitimately encouraging.
So obviously it seems like they've addressed shooting. We like what we see with Keegan Murray. Let's go to the defense. Do you think, is that a Mike Brown assignment? Have they added enough defensively, in your opinion, because that's an area that obviously has to get better? Well,
yeah, we all know it has to get major league better, not just incrementally better, but they got to take a big step. And I think everybody knows that. And I flash back to the news conference when Mike Brown was introduced, and he was talking about the accountability and the soul. And De'Aaron Fox was among 4 or 5 players that were there at the news conference, as you saw, and he's over against the wall. And Mike Brown makes reference to the fact that, I had some history with him when he was playing high school ball and one thing or another. And we all know that he's got to step up defensively. He basically put him on the spot under the public scrutiny in a news conference. And De'Aaron kind of rolls his eyes and nods his head as if, I know that. And so those are things that I see as encouraging. And the different people you talk to who've been around Mike Brown, he's a stickler for detail. Nobody's going to outwork him in terms of preparation. Can the chemistry come together? I love seeing in the first game in Vegas 5 Kings along the baseline led by Sabonis, and Herter is there, and Davion Mitchell, Chimezi Metu, etc. And this is where it starts in terms of that chemistry, that extra effort, I think. So again, I find it encouraging. And I think that, defensively, if the Kings are going to have success, they've got to be a whole lot better defensively. And Summer League, it's hard, I think, to get an accurate gauge. But in the 2 games that we've seen thus far here in Vegas, we've seen the Kings really working hard on some defensive schemes. And, of course, the big comeback in that double overtime loss was sensational. And it was defensive execution in the final 4 minutes of regulation that got him in a position to possibly win the game.
I know we all come out here in the Summer League. I think everybody's kind of figured it out. It's a gem to come out here to watch all this basketball. But that game Saturday was as good as, that was really entertaining. That finish was a miracle.
It was a classic.
Yeah.
Anytime, the Kings are down 18 in that second half, and I don't know at one point what the minutes were. They're still down 16.
I think it was 16 with just under 3.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. It's like the Minnesota game a few years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, those are really rare when you see that happen. But the way that, a big crowd, Thomas and Mack Center, everybody's engaged. It was just, there was an emotion and a feeling that you just don't get for Summer League games. And it was a Summer League classic. I think several of us have talked about, is that the best Summer League game we've ever seen? Well, it's doggone close to being number one if it's not number one.
And for anybody that hasn't done this experience, that has come out here, that's a basketball fan like yourself, what would you say to about the Vegas Summer League experience?
It continues to get bigger and better. I marvel at what I've seen. And, because of COVID the last couple of years, I wasn't able to be here, and there wasn't Summer League action. And to see all 30 teams involved, this is a gathering point. You turn a corner in the arena, in the hotels, you don't know who you're going to run into. But the big names, the owners, the general managers, the personnel people, former officials, you see Joey Crawford here, you see Eddie Everett, you see different people, and this is the place to be if you're a basketball junkie or a basketball fan. And it's amazing to me that what the impact that this Summer League has on the city of Las Vegas. It's the real deal. And even now, we joke about championship rings going to the champs this year. Too bad the Kings didn't collect on that last year, because the renderings have been, honest to goodness, they are beautiful championship rings for Summer League. Who would have thought?
We need to get you a real one, and the city of Sacramento. For the regular, they're on their way, but I can tell you're excited though about this season.
Well, I am, and I didn't know if I would be. And sometimes you get a little cynical, and you say, we've been down this road so many different times. We've, coaching merry-go-round once again and trying to find a comfort zone and develop a rapport with all the new pieces. It's an ongoing process, but it's fun to have some legitimacy to your excitement and to your expectations. Now just keep everybody healthy and get off to a good, strong start and let it build and roll on that.
Well, thank you, G-Man. We'll see you soon on the first Kings broadcast of the year.
If we don't see you on the golf course before that.